Go Beaver! Away!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cast, the new home of European Highlander. And today we have for you the grand final of the high tier of ETF2L's season 13 season. And of course, you know, people always talk about the Premiership, but hey, it's getting into the Premiership that we're talking about tonight. And there are two teams who are trying, not for the first time, to try and get into the upper echelons of European Highlander. In one corner, we have inVision, who, shall we say, rather controversially won the high tier in the past, but were denied access to the Premiership season, and are trying once again to win another grand final and get there. Facing them are last year's beaten semi-finalist Lucrosa, who've performed well over the past couple of seasons to prove their credentials as a possible Premiership team. I am CeeJaey, and joining me tonight is the one and only jakeowaty with Wiethoofd on the camera. Jake, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Pretty well, man. I took a nap in the afternoon, so I have enough energy to keep going through this game today. And, you know, we have a really big game. I mean, like you said yourself, both teams have history behind them. They've been in high for some time. And obviously, I did play against Lucrosa and had a pleasure to scrim against inVision because I was playing for a high team as well this season, just taking a laid-back season. And boy, both teams are incredibly close in terms of skill, as far as I reckon. Lucrosa did manage to edge out on my team, which was the awkward moment in the semifinals, by just a smidge. I mean, the game that we played against them lasted 3 hours. We ended up just past midnight, so it was a very difficult game. Hopefully, we'll see that amount of action in today's game as well. I mean, both teams have really well-established players, known players as well. And, well, hopefully the winner of today's game will get a good chance at getting a Premiership season going next season rolls around. So definitely a really big game in front of us. Definitely.
I'm excited. It should be a good game. Yeah, just to clarify, because there was a bit of a thing a few seasons ago. So inVision, they've got history. They've been around since season 9, playing in the high tier, and it was in season 11. Okay, season 11 that they played in high. They managed to get into the playoffs. They managed to win the playoffs against Open Squad in the grand final. They did reach the playoffs in season 10, but it was season 11 where they actually won it. But in between season 11 and 12, we had this transition for the Premiership tier where the number of teams was reduced, which meant inVision had to go into the preseason playoffs. So, you know, they weren't allowed to have a guaranteed spot, which was a first for, you know, teams that usually win the high tier, get a guaranteed spot. That wasn't the case for that season. They went into kind of the relegation playoff, so to speak, lost to Dickman's Juniors. They went into the actual preseason playoffs and ended up losing to Failure. So they kind of lost it at the last hurdle, which must have been very difficult for them, but they are back with a lot of the similar players, a lot of the same players coming back again this season. So far, season 13, they haven't technically lost a game. The only match where they dropped, you know, they didn't win all of the points, or most of the points, shall I say, was their match against Lucrosa in week 4, which is, of course, the Gully Wash and Product Week. And we're not going to see either of those maps tonight. So obviously both teams don't want a repeat of that week 4 fixture. Lucrosa, they've been around a little bit more recent, shall we say. They've been in every season since season 11. They did reach the playoffs last season in high, but they lost out to Crazy Boy Clan, who went on to win the high tiers. So, you know, it's no mean feat to lose out to the eventual winners, but they're back, and they probably don't want to lose at this hurdle again. So both two teams here who've kind of maybe got a point to prove, Jake. You know, they've been in that situation where they've lost out, and they don't really want to get this far and lose out at the last hurdle again.
Yeah, it'll be pretty heart-wrenching if they do now. And speaking of the maps, because obviously we have to go through them, you said that before they play against each other, and they played on Gully Wash and Product, and unsurprisingly, both teams have banned Gully Wash and Product, and Stinghan, who plays obviously for the inVision here, has picked as the first map Borneo, which is, you know, in terms of Team Fortress 2 lifespan, a pretty fresh map, very long payload map. Then Kronk from the other team here, Lucrosa has picked CP Steel, one of the more established Highlander maps, and in my opinion, the best Highlander map when it comes to just the game itself, because it allows for so many strategies, for so many different tactics for the map, and doesn't necessarily guarantee a better team to win. The team with more preparation going into it will definitely have an edge on the other one, and it's been many times in history where the underdogs were winning still because they picked that map and they put a lot of work into planning it. And obviously, the last map that has been picked was Badwater, pretty much a staple map. So if anything that we said so far about these two teams, when it comes to their personal skill, their history, their teamwork, we can possibly see all three maps being played out. How I see so far is that Stinghen with his team inVision have picked Borneo because they feel like they have a better teamwork on payloads, especially that they picked 2 payload maps, and Krong has chosen Steel as their go-to. But obviously we have to go kind of through the rosters that are being gonna be played here. Gonna have a quick look here. For some reason I cannot connect. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at the inVision roster. We'll start off with those guys. So on Scout we have someone called Bitcly Boy, not sure who that is. Please use your correct name, otherwise I can't shout loudly when you frag. I don't know who you are. But we have somebody on Scout. Surely they'll change their name. On Soldier is surely going to be Officer Bees, who used to play for Open Squad. So he's got plenty of experience playing in the high playoffs. We have Ferry on Pyro. On Demo Man will be Lion King. Now, Lion King is a merc tonight for inVision. He does play for Doctors of Mediocrity, or should I say Doctors of Highocrity, because they play in high now. Right, they're going to change their name, guys. But he'll be playing. I'm not sure if inVision have had a regular demo man this season. I've seen multiple demos playing, such as Murphy. On Heavy, they will have Tuja. On Engineer is going to be Tercio. On Medic is going to be, is it Nidstang? Nidstang. Yeah, I mean, crazy letters. You know, I just keep it plain text, guys. I'm easily confused. On Sniper, we have Thazu. A lot of credentials for that man playing on Sniper. And on Spy we have Costil, former Spy for the likes of Wasp in Premiership. And we do have Mercs on the other side as well. On Scout we have Twisted, who is obviously a former Premiership winner, technically, with strong opinions. Did play a game back in Season 11, but that was as a Sniper, but he does play High Scout in 6s, so, you know, he's coming into Merc for them on Scout. I'm not sure who their main Scout is, actually. On Spy. On Soldier is going to be Spee64. On Pyro is going to be Garden Fungus. Demo is going to be Noz. Heavy is Kronk, the team leader. Engineer is going to be Ganex. Skyrovania, or just Skyro for short, is going to be on Medic. Andrew is going to be on Sniper. And Spy is going to be Nightmare, but he's tagged up as Alligator Smile because, hey, let's throw off the casters with different names. But that is Nightmare, obviously Premiership experience there. But Borneo, Jake, picked by Stinghan and co. Just from what you know about these two teams, you've played against them more than I'm sure, over the past few months. Who do you think is going to have the advantage on this first map?
Fairly difficult to say at this point. I mean, we just had the gates down, and they're slowly moving up the cart here. Lucrosa putting a lot of people on the cart, moving it up the point as a sentry behind. Fairly defensive spot, trying to save it from the spam and doing a pretty good job at that. Tercio taking down the first kill here on the Ganex as well on the cart. Currently unguarded by Lucrosa's team, slowly trying to move up and edge some position there, but looks like inVision has themselves entrenched pretty damn well here with Thazu trying to take on Andrew, both very well established snipers, and it's definitely gonna be down to which sniper takes the edge over the other, as the sniper sightlines, speaking of, Tuja goes down to Andrew, are pretty damn ridiculous when it comes to Borneo. So definitely we'll see anything more sniper action than any other game we probably casted so far, especially when it comes to this season. But they're moving in here. Lucrosa with the Uber charge, trying to take out the sentry. Sentry's being built up. Uber pop has been here exchanged here. Nistang is trying to save the cart as well as his sentry. Sniper going down. Thazu is down for his team here inVision. Don't have that defensive spot with Andrew being on the roam. It's going to be very difficult for inVision to defend right now, maybe. With that defensive spot by Tercio, we'll see next push.
Yeah, it was very, very well played there by Lucrosa. They got the pick onto Tuja, which is a lot of HP to take out of a fight before you use your Uber and get that exchange going on. But the actual exchange, it got so much damage down onto both Ferry, and to Lion King and everyone in that kind of area near the sentry, but they didn't really take the ground. And the pushback was able to just clear up, and Skyrovania, they're going down to a headshot from Thazu, so medic down for Lucrosa for the time being. Nissan is going to have a massive advantage, at least 75% by the time Skyro starts healing again. So Lucrosa having to kind of start from square one here, start to think, you know, do they start going for suicides? Do they start just kind of going for a dry push, something like that? Because at the moment they're not seeming to really deal with this sentry or this combo very well, and Stinghan and his crew seem to be very well adjusted in this position as Andrew and Twisted both go down there.
Here, Lucrosa slowly trying to get their ground up. Medic is pretty much staying all the way behind, trying to save his team, put some heals out in order to take some spam on the sentry. But the sentry is still being kept up by Tercio, doing some major work there. Once again, Ganix, Kronk going down. 4 people down for the Lucrosa's team, having pretty big difficulty trying to push the sentry spot, and definitely have to give a lot of credit here for the engineer and the combo keeping it up all alive. Nistang on 100%, and Skyro is about to reach his 100% Uber charge. We might look at an Uber push anytime soon. They're pushing through the far left if you're looking at the spawn of the red team. Whole team is forming a death ball trying to get into positions, but you have to have in mind that Thazu is still up. Nice pick by Andrew on Bickley Boy, taking down the scout. You know, with one flanker down for the medic to worry about. Skyro is only low health, took a spam from the soldier, jumping out. Andrew going down, so no more sniper for the attacking team. Tried to move in the position very close now, popping very early, trying to be safe and sure. The sentry eventually goes down to Nas. A nice pick there. It looks like inVision will forfeit this one just so they can build up on second. Much better hold than they possibly could if they decided to sacrifice themselves from the first one.
They still have an Uber advantage though here. They have 100% in the bank. They were wise to get out there. They got their players out. They did lose Tercio and Thazu, so they had no sniper control. Tercio had no sentry. He's going to have to rebuild his sentry from level 1 in probably a passive position here. Lion King has also gone down, so that pick is going to be pretty good for Lucrosa. They can start pressuring as actually Nightmare takes down Thazu. So no snipers for either team. But that does mean that Lucrosa are going to be able to just push forward here without worrying about losing any players' heads as they start to push that cart. And you can see the lack of a sentry and the lack of a demo man is really coming into play here. Ganix and Twisted are just pushing that cart slowly but surely. Lion King is actually unprotected. Wow, nice pipes from him. Do take down Twisted. And CeeJaey is on an 8k, takes down Ganix as they try to push that cart. And, you know, inVision is starting to get a little bit more control here. Tercio has a level 3 up in position. And Lucrosa didn't really take huge advantage of the positioning they had and the picks they had in that moment, so it's allowed inVision to get this forward hold in this barn area as Andrew does take down Thazu, so maybe get their sniper into position, can get something done here, but take a look at the Pyro Fairy just getting aggressive, just pushing people away, not allowing them to have the space. But I mean, Jake, Thazu seems to be getting picked off quite a lot. I'm not sure if inVision are protecting him as well, and it just doesn't seem that Lucrosa are taking advantage of the sniper advantage they have, which usually on a payload map is huge. But as I say that, the Uber does come in very early on from Lucrosa. They're focusing down the sentry. That Wrangler from Tercio is doing so much work. This sentry is not going to go down, and he's going to wrench it up, heal it up, and that cart is not going to move another inch.
Yeah, inVision here had a good idea because the combo was holding in the barn area with Nitstang still on 100% Uber charge. Finally popped right there as Skyro has went down on the cart. Trying to use this a little bit of a problem, but here, look at this. Alligator Smile pokes Nitstang in the face, taking out the medic for the defensive team, and it might be the call for defenders here, inVision, to move out of the position. Lion King is on low health, chased by Twisted. Twisted wants to finish the job, taking down a few pot shots at the sentry as well. Tercio is still keeping it up somehow. I'm not even sure how this man is managing to do that, but inVision is slowly backing out of the position here. Lucrosa capping the point without the Uber charge. Skyro is on 33%, this thing only in 15, but 15% Uber advantage could be crucial here. Tercio once again, very aggressive spot, which goes down to Nas, who jumps in, tries to do as much damage as possible. CeeJaey eventually finishes him off, going back and reunited with his medic here. Nitstang needs to be saved. This spot is not very good for a medic if the soldier and the scout decide to jump him at the same time, but the car is still being pushed very fast forward. And here Lucrosa doing a really good job at keeping that 3-timer going on the sentry gun. Tercio slowly building up another sentry gun, but no, Andrew takes care of that. Tercio going down as well as the sentry. No more really good defensive position here. Look at this. Skyro knows this with his team. Kronk moving up with Andrew and Speed trying to put some pot shots on the CeeJaey. CeeJaey is very low. here, Nidstag still holding on to the Uber, dropping their Bickley boy, but popping onto the CeeJaey. CeeJaey is just holding them, body blocking as much as possible. It looks like Skyro is gonna have much better Uber there, chased off by Kronk. That Fist of Steel unlock has protected CeeJaey from certain death, and Lion King with Nidstang are currently holding against Skyro. Oh, eventually CeeJaey goes down to Nas. Nice few sticks and pipes take care of that, and now Skyro only has Nas to help him out there, trying to move in this position in the barn, as this is a very crucial spot. If you allow the defensive team to set up, this is a very difficult one to push. Same goes for the offensive team. If the offensive team goes in, it is very easy to hold them and basically guarantees the third point free of charge.
Yeah, they went in there, just took their aggression. The Uber Exchange actually was in advantage of inVision there. They managed to get all of their players out into a decent position after forcing them in that kind of forward hold. But that third point just goes down really, really easily. They lost 5 players there, and they're all key players. Think players like Fazu, Ferryman, Lion King, CeeJaey, they all went down, and you just had nobody to protect Nidstang, and he just got destroyed by 3 players. Noz and Spee just kind of combining to sandwich him there. And Tercio hasn't had a sentry up. His sentry on the second point did so much work, if we remember. But so far, it just keeps been going down. He's struggling to get it up, as it just seems inVision under a lot of pressure right now. As the Uber comes in now, Fazu is going to get destroyed as he tries to get into the spawn there. Great reflex there from Ferry, just trying to keep the danger away, and CeeJaey with the flank is going to take down Skyro and Noz. Nice.
Ooh, but
sneaky heavy play there.
Yeah,
oh,
Twisted taking down Nidstag. Yeah, Twisted taking down a Nidstag. It was basically 1v5, and he managed to put those 2 meat shots in the medic, taking him down and ensuring that Skyro has that Uber advantage that he just lost due to the defense from the red team. Tercio finally setting up his level 3 sentry gun. Card is pretty far forward at the gate number 1 here. The whole Lucrosa team is forming up on the left side. They need that Uber to push. It's very difficult to push this point without Uber, and Fazu makes sure that no one crosses his sideline unprotected. Andrew is trying to peek him as well, as the sniper battle is quite here difficult for both snipers. Both snipers very well established. Andrew having that advantage of the ping, but here Skyro 70% Uber charge, Nixon only on 40. That could be crucial here. They're currently moving Lucrosa to the other side of the cart, trying to utilize this flank that is rarely used by any of the teams. Most teams just move through the left side, but this time Lucrosa is taking out the other route, far away from the sentry, moving closer. Here Spee goes down. No more flanking soldier for the attackers here. But they're moving in. Uber has been popped very early. They have the comfort of that Uber advantage. Trying to take it on the sentry, but it's not enough. A few people dropped there. Kronk, Skyro going down. Nice headshot by Fazu. And looks like this offense by Lucrosa once again gets completely squashed by inVision with Nidstang and 100% Uber charge.
Well, they're kind of the post-Uber frags there were coming in. Tercio went down and his sentry got sapped. Twisted is just bouncing around on the car, trying to get as much cap time as he can. Wow, Fazu there with the melee comes out and takes down Nightmare as he was trying to get some pressure onto the sniper, but it was actually a pretty decent exchange in the end. There's only about 3 players left alive for inVision, but Nidstang stayed alive most importantly, and if you get that Uber, and even if you just Uber anybody on that cart, you can block it and stop that cap from going down. So inVision live to survive another couple of minutes at least, perhaps, as Lucrosa have to kind of mount another attack. They don't have an Uber advantage this time around, as Skyro did die in that earlier exchange. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. They have to work some picks, and they do seem to be getting the picks. They do seem to be taking down the sniper or the NG or the heavy, someone like that. And as long as somebody gets done, as I say that, Andrew gets the headshot onto Lion King. So that's no Demo Man on the defense, and Demo Man is so important, especially on payload defense, as Nod's getting some pressure down, takes down Ferry. So they're taking down players one by one. They're just getting so much pressure on the cart right now. There's 3 down for inVision. Twisted's just pushing that cart, and he's just going to push it straight in.
Ooh, that is actually insane strategy by Lucrosa. I did not expect them to do that well. I mean, they've been kind of losing people every single push, but they had the cart going the whole game. And while the timer shows 10 minutes and 40 seconds for Bad War, or not Bad War, Borneo, it is a very decent time here because the map, as I said before, is very, very long and takes a long time to push the cart from point to point. And here, Lucrosa inching their way forward, you know, taking the picks where they had to. You know, having to fight against Andrew is never nice, but they managed to kind of close him down. And while he was taking down a few people here and there, every single Uber push they had something done, and that's what most important about Highlander, is that if you use a Uber charge, at least get something out of it. If you're gonna lose an Uber push, just get anything out of it. Even pushing the cart a few more meters forward is enough to warrant the Uber. But there you go, 10 minutes 40 seconds on the clock. This time Lucrosa is gonna be taking on defense with Ganix having a very aggressive sentry spot here.
Yeah, I mean, that is a...
Yeah, look at this. He's just moving it quite a bit, but look, very aggressive spot. Covers a little bit more ground, especially from the jumpers, but at the same time is more susceptible to long-range spam from the sniper or the soldier.
Yeah, I mean, there is this platform in front of the house, and that sentry is open to so much spam, and there really isn't much support from the flank in this house. I mean, Twisted is here with the milk, but there's no one else covering this far side, so not sure if this is... I mean, okay, I take that back. Bees is here. But it's a bit of an interesting position. We'll have to see how it works out, whether that sentry gets moved later on. And Andrew there is just picking up a couple of people, takes down Ferry. He's going to slow down the push, slow down those suicides a little, but you can take a look at what inVision are doing. They're taking this far side with their combo, with all of their players just getting in some position. The heavy comes out now, and I'm sure any second now you see Thazu is just working his way up behind them. He's well protected. He can just take shot after shot, and you know, he doesn't have to worry about someone jumping him. As I say that, Bees is there to try and distract him as Andrew does win at the sniper battle, and Andrew with the collateral takes down Lion King there. So you know, Andrew's starting to turn it on a little bit now, picking up some crucial frags early on here, and 10 minutes 40 is a pretty long time. You never really want to see double figures, as Andrew gets another collateral, takes down Ombra. Obviously Bigly Boy there is actually Ombra. That's 2 collaterals in the space of about 10 seconds, so Andrew definitely deciding he's going to have to really get some frags in this defensive round to help his team over the line here.
Yeah, and like I said, first point is an incredible huge sniper sideline. The snipers could be pretty much anywhere, but if you manage to land those shots, it's very, very good to be holding as a sniper in this position, especially protected by your team. The sentry is still up, pretty much contested by the enemy team. Ganix keeping it up. Tarcio slowly pushing the cart and inching it forward, but he's all by himself in forward position here. Andrew taking down Castle, but Thazu repeats by taking down the heavy for the defensive team. Very important pick here. Twisted going down as well, so that's 3 people down, including the spy for the defenders. If there's any time to push, that would be right about now. Nidstein has 100% Uber charge. They're moving in, very aggressive spot on the right side, healing up Lion King, moving up slowly, spotted the sentries, overing very early on, trying to push them out, get zapped, sentry going down eventually, and it looks like inVision will be able to cap the first point fairly easily, with Lucrosa kind of taking a defensive position, slowly moving out here. Skyra also has popped his Uber just to save his team, and now he's 10%. No, scratch that, and he gets headshot by Thazu, giving his team actually scratched that as well. Nidstein going down to Nas, so both medics going down. Neither of the teams has heals, so basically both teams are just relying on pure DM at this point. Costello chasing down Ganix, very important pick here. No engineer for the defensive team, and it's all up to Andrew holding down the sideline. Speaking of taking down Tercio on the cart, only Bigly Boy pushing it, scratch that as well as Bigly Boy going down. This is the caster curse we're talking about. The cart is currently uncontested by the attacking team. Nidstein slowly building his Uber charge, so is Skyrovania. They just respawned, met up with this team, and well, they'll be looking at the offense for the third point here. inVision, Lucrosa just now building a level 1 sentry.
You take a look at the position of inVision right now. They're in the barn, but they're really far back. And it's given a lot of time for Lucrosa to get into a position, get themselves set up. You see Noz, he's got a sticky trap. Medic is there, nicely well protected. Ganix does get backstabbed there by Costel, who seems to be doing a lot of work. Does finally go down there. He was on a 3 kill streak before he died. But Costel was getting some crucial picks and just opening up some space for the rest of the team to walk forward. But Thazu here, he's starting to get some picks, which are kind of opening doors for inVision to start to walk forward. And at the moment, it's definitely the battle of the snipers, which is something we always say about on payload maps. Which sniper can get the most frags, which sniper can get the biggest picks, as Andrew goes for a shot but doesn't get anything this time around. But I like his positioning here. Noz is, you know, watching a sticky trap. He's just spamming in, making sure no one can come in through this doorway, and everyone else is well protected, just ready for that push. And it's really all about inVision. What can they do here? Can they get a pick, or are they just going to push in and, you know, try to get an exchange and hope that their exchange is better so that the post-Uber fight, as Andrew gets a nice headshot there onto Bees as he tries to jump away, as Nightmare almost at the same time gets a headshot onto Ferry. So,
There's
Yeah.
an Uber push. Look at this. Barn area. Nidstag popping very early, just making sure they don't drop any players to the sticky drop. Lion King in now a lot of trouble, getting pushed around and shoved by Garden Fungus, finally taking him down. And Nas just pushing the entire team back, but didn't manage to get Nidstag in the end. Very early pop there by Nidstag. Unfortunately, it was not good enough and way too early to do anything in that position, especially with the level 3 sentry currently being moved by Ganix in a very interesting spot onto the barrels, covering a lot more ground than it usually does on the balcony, but a little bit less protected as well. Both medics currently on the same amount of Uber, slowly building up. Nas taking out Officer Bees with a nice sticky trap, and now that they know Nas has it locked down, they're slowly moving towards the cart. Andrew taking down CeeJaey, so the whole combo for the attacking team inVision has trouble staying alive at the moment. Nidstag is staying safe, healing up, trying to build that Uber, very crucial now, but Andrew has been very, very difficult to deal with and protected by this whole entire team. It's gonna be difficult for inVision to do anything about it.
Yeah, you're talking about two players there. The two players you mentioned, Noz and Andrew. Andrew's on an 8-kill streak, Noz is on a 9-kill streak. Like, then they're not being pressured at all. Andrew is just allowed to take shots. He's actually pretty passive. You know, someone could actually make a play from here as he gets another kill. But Noz as well is just playing really, really smart. He takes down Thazu. Like, these two players are just really just doing their jobs at the moment. And if your demo and your sniper are on point in Highlander, then it's so difficult. Like, you really need, you really need to step it up to tackle these classes. And at the moment, Noz is just kind of protected by the rest of the team. I mean, look at Kronk and Garden Fungus. Garden Fungus is essentially just spy checking right now, and Kronk is just playing a passive role. Anyone who gets close is just going to get, a face full of bullets. But Andrew there finally goes down to Thazu, gets that headshot, 10-second respawn, and that's going to trigger the push. Income inVision, they use their Uber very, very early on, and they actually just get the exchange. Costill misses the backstab, but it does mean that it looks like inVision are going to go for the repush here, as they are getting some frags. There's only 4 players left alive here. For Lucrosa, Skyro is very, very weak. He's got about 15 HP, has to try and get out alive here. I don't think he will. Finally goes down to the mini sentry of Tercio. Ganix is still alive with his level 3 sentry. He's going to use the Rescue Ranger to try and get that out and set up for the next point. No one's pressuring him, so that should be pretty well. He's getting a bit of an aggressive hold here just to buy some time for the rest of his team to get in position. But Jake, what that does mean is that Nidstag has a big advantage, 60%. Big jump in from Beast, and he just basically craters. So, bit of an anticlimax, but yeah, uber advantage for Nidstag and inVision. Just under 4 minutes to go to push the last 2 points.
Yeah, and they do need that Uber advantage here, CeeJaey. They really do, because right now the defensive tier Lucrosa is building up on the 3rd point, and once you set up a proper defense on 3rd, it's so difficult to set it up. But look at this, they're moving with Lion King, with Nidstag, and trying to get it done, but Garden Fungus completely locking down the demo, pushing him away, still alive and full health. That's incredible. Nox is trying to chase them down, putting some nice damage out, and Officer Bees, Lion King going down there in this top area. Unfortunately, Nidstag was not able to warrant his team this 3rd position hold for the attacking team here. inVision having struggling actually here, doing any sort of work, and unfortunately Skyro is about to hit his 100% Uber charge with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go. It's going to be difficult, so they opted to go for a dry push Ferryman, control a little bit, taking a lot of damage. The Pyro for the attacking team. Finally, Garden Fungus goes down. No more pushing around by the enemy team. CeeJaey taking down some spam as well. Lion King finally respawning, reconnecting with his team, putting out some spam again, but Noz is so aggressive again. Uber Puff has been exchanged here by, Skyro only, taking down Nidstag, CeeJaey, Lion King, and Ferryman. All these players going down to the combo classes here with the help of Spee's rocket launcher, and unfortunately that dry push that they hoped for with Nidstag and his team inVision unfortunately was not very successful. Wiethoofd also getting cleaned up by Nas. Whole team pretty much all cleaned up. Officer Beast trying to get something done as well, getting cleaned up, and Lucrosa is in full control right now.
They are, and it does kind of, the morale thing does come into it, especially as you enter the last 2 points of payload. As the game progresses, each point becomes progressively harder to push. The 3rd point usually being the most difficult, with the last point really being a kind of a clutch scenario here. Costill goes for a backstab onto the other spy. A bit of spy on spy action there for the viewers, you know what you like. But yeah, that was such a crucial exchange. Nidstag was very close to his Uber, but Skyro had it earlier on. And the combination of Noz and Spee there just to manage to push them out, and inVision are dropping players here. This is not the time for them to drop players. It is still possible. 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. This does use his Uber very, very early on, but Skyro's just going to use his. Noz is going to take most of it, like he seems to do all of the time here. And now is the time to go for a dry push. Something needs to be done here from inVision. They need to get some pressure, but no, they're losing players. And they're losing players that can push, and there we go. Bit of an ambassador shot there. Nidstang goes down to Nightmare, and Lucrosa just look very comfortable right now. They burnt so much of the time off the clock, Jake. Like, those first 2 points, you know, when you've got 10 minutes, if you're going to take off about, 6-7 minutes on the first 2 points alone, it's going to make it very difficult for the opposition to, to actually get anything done on those last 2 points. The pressure, the pressure really comes on, and we just haven't been seeing the picks coming out of inVision.
Yeah, unfortunately here, Officer B is actually getting taken down by the enemy combo quite comfortably, and as you said yourself, Nos taking most of the Ubers out of the team here. Skyro making sure that he gets full of that brunt of the damage, and he's just leading every single charge that Lucrosa is putting out. And unfortunately, Nidstang and his team don't have time to push to the last. Only 30 seconds to clock, and third point still has not been capped. And Lucrosa even forfeiting the third point, still fighting for it, but they do know that they got the first point here in this match. So just going for the logs at this point. But like I said before, Nos taking brunt of the damage, trying to do as much as well, with Andrew in the backline supporting him with those headshots. It's a very, very difficult combo to deal with, and Krog obviously supporting the backline and actually shooting down Officer B's as well as Bickley Boy. Well, I do believe Lucrosa has what it takes to take this map quite comfortably. As I say it, clock has run out for inVision to push this map, and while they had a pretty good hold with 10 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, inching out on them, Lucrosa takes out the first point on PL Borneo.
Before the post-round frags start coming in, I just want to point out both Andrew and Noz there, sorry, Noz, I mean, both have 3 dominations. Lion King on the enemy team has 2, but I think it's clear which players did the work even before we look at the logs. I have to agree with what you said there. Just to echo the idea that Lucrosa's push wasn't amazing. 10 minutes and 40 seconds isn't a fast time, on any map. I mean, Borneo is one of the payload maps where you could say, okay, we do see the longer times because of that third point, and also because of that last point. Some people have got a very good rotation going on through those spawns, so you can eke out a lot of time. But generally, if you're heading into the double figures with the minutes on a payload map, you're not going to be too happy. But in the end, inVision just seemed to kind of, I don't know, lose a bit of oomph going into the last couple of points there and seem to run out of ideas. And in the end, I just think Lucrosa just seems a little bit more solid on the defense. But taking a look at the logs, top fragging, just put this into perspective. In 23 minutes, Andrew got 34 kills. He's way ahead of anybody else. Just behind, in second, is Noz with 25. So those two players, top fragging and top damaging, Noz with over 500 DPM and Andrew pulling a 474 DPM, which is, those two more than anybody else on the server. Highest KADs as well. I mean, I'm not going to heap I don't want these guys to start, thinking I'm a stalker or anything, but these two guys definitely put in the performance tonight for Lucrosa in this first round. And it's kind of hard to see, you need to see the players in inVision. I mean, I don't know what you saw, Jake. I mean, did anyone else stand out for you?
Yeah, this is a problem. I mean, Nidstang and Lion King tried to pretty much mirror what Noz and Skyro were doing, leading in charge of the demo. It's kind of became the meta for Highlander for quite some time now, knowing that demo basically has the highest damage output possible in the game. However, every single time they pushed, the Uber just came kind of ramshackled with just people kind of scattering around looking for some frags, and Nidstang not having anyone to heal or protect him after the Uber has been done, knowing that they actually push first and they pop first. Nidstang needs to kind of keep his teammates around himself, or the teammates have to be around, just rotating around the Nidstang after push as well, so they protect the medic from dying. 4 deaths for each of the medics, which is actually a very good score when it comes to the medicinal man of TM4 Fortress 2. However, Nitstang, all his deaths have been right after Ubers. And that's kind of unfortunate for the medic, but this is kind of what happens here and what the team needs to kind of look forward to and kind of fix going forward in this game. Looks like we've lost... Yeah, we have a pause about 90 seconds in the future, so we have a little bit more time to talk about what happened there. And like I said before, they kind of try to mirror what Lucrosa is doing. It's just that Noz and Andrew are just such a force to reckon with, you know, in addition to the rest of the team supporting what they do and supporting their playstyle. inVision need to kind of come up with a solution to this, and if they mirror their setup, they should also mirror their push strategies, you know, just going together, protecting the sniper, because I've seen Thazo going into position, trying to find those cheeky spots to take a few pot shots at the enemy team, and unfortunately, Andrew was always managed to kind of find him out and, you know, take him down. I mean, according to logs, he only took him 4 times, but the logs speak for themselves. 34 kills for Andrew, only 15 for Thaz. So that's something that you have to look forward to when it comes to the next and the games in the future, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Sniper is pretty much the most dominant class in Highlander, without a doubt. And it is interesting to see. I mean, Andrew did get the majority of the frags. He didn't actually get a med pick though, which is interesting. Medic is the only class he didn't kill in this game. Whereas Thazu got 3 med picks. He actually killed Skyro for half of his death. Got tongue twisted there. Half of his deaths. So 3 out of his 6 deaths were to Thazu. So that's interesting. I mean, to kind of expand on the medic stats, they are pretty much identical. 6 deaths each, 14 assists each. You know, nothing really to compare between them. But the most interesting thing for me is you take a look at deaths within 20 seconds after Uber. Nidstang only has 1, whereas Skyro has 5, which meant 5 out of the times he died, out of the 6 times, was just after an Uber exchange. And you might think, oh wow, that means during Uber exchanges he's, you know, going in and not getting out at the right time. But his team won. And I think actually it's because he just basically went balls deep. He just went in with his team. They fully committed to the push, and yeah, fair enough. It meant that his team actually mostly got wiped, and he died along with his team. But in doing so, they committed a lot, and especially on the last point, which hopefully we'll see in this second round, you know, we did see a lot of pressure getting put slowly but surely. Every time they pushed, maybe it wasn't a fully successful push, but at least they pushed that cart another few meters, which meant it was under more pressure. It was through the choke point, or it's closer to the hole to go in. And as we saw, they didn't even need to use Uber in their last push there, Lucrosa, in order to get the cart in the hole. So that's just something I spotted there. But just taking a look at, like, the heal stats are pretty much the same, but I do think the way that the teams played, CeeJaey playing kind of more of a flanky heavy. I mean, not necessarily flanky, but, you know, he was taking heals, but also playing in interesting positions. But Kronk was playing very, very passive, and that allowed Noz to get aggressive. And Kronk was basically just his psychic. You know, he was the Robin to his Batman, and basically was just there to protect him from anything that was putting his Demiman under pressure, but also was there to just clean up stuff behind. And you know, if you're putting a lot of the heals and a lot of the emphasis on your Demiman, which of course is again one of the strongest classes in Highlander, and everyone else is just playing a supporting role, then it does work out very well. I mean, it does remind me a little bit of the way that Ali and Emilio used to play, where Ali would just take control and just kind of just pound everything with his damage, and Emilio would just kind of just play that supporting role behind him. But we are unpaused now, so we are still in the setup time. Things might be a little bit higgledy-piggledy as the pause effects start to to wear off. But yeah, it's going to be Lucrosa defending first. Yeah, we need to wait for the team switch to happen. Lucrosa will be defending first, so we'll see if inVision do have the cut of their jib to actually push the cart all the way to last. And if they can do that, then Lucrosa will try to beat that time. But we'll see how it goes. But I mean, for you, Jake, who on inVision needs to step it up? I mean, is there any individuals underperforming, or is it just kind of any kind of teamwork? Is it the flank, or is it the combo? Where do you see there needs to be strengthened?
Well, I don't really like talking about individual faults when it comes to a team-based game, especially Team Fortress 2. I mean, the whole team is working together and playing up each other's strengths in order to win. That's the whole point of victory and playing competitively. When it comes to inVision here, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, not inVision, but Lucrosa, is that they have what it takes. They definitely do. They have really strong players, seasoned players as well, mixed in with some fresh blood that, you know, has the drive to do as best as they can. It's just what they have to do actually is just to work together towards a certain goal, work together. Every single push has to be kind of coordinated together. We've seen so far that they have changed their mind quite a lot of times in terms of push. When it comes to inVision, what they do is they simply just... well, the other way around, Lucrosa. What they do is they actually just go in, you know, no matter what, they just go in, they use the Uber charge, and what happens. It actually has worked out for them. I mean, Nuz is doing major work, like we said before. I mean, we can't praise this man enough, but he is just putting so much damage, and it's so important for him to be that person to do the damage, and for the rest of the team just kind of clean up. You know, obviously Ganix has been doing a very good job at keeping the sentry up, you know, moving back the positions and actually finding pretty clever spots for it. So it's something that here inVision has to kind of take a page out of. They need to kind of work together, get their team bunched up and just push in, not hesitate, because this is the worst that can happen to a team during a push or any game for that matter. It's just they don't play together. They change their mind mid-push, and it ends up being all over the map for Andrew to basically pick up very easily. But now that we still have that pause, I got a whisper from Kronk, actually, to give a small shout out to Garden Fungus, who has been close today. As you probably know, some of you people, there has been a threat in London again, unfortunately, and Fungus happened to be quite close to the threat, but he is fine, you know. Obviously everything turned out to be perfectly fine, and knowing that he actually got 5 kills on the enemy's team spy, whereas Ferryman didn't get a single one. Just a little bit flavor there from Kronk. And also, you know, Banana Man is also messaging me, putting some words in my ear, trying to, you know, put some trivia into this game, is that apparently he is the one who stands behind Lucrosa's strategy. So, well done there, Banana Man. I definitely can see that there is coordination within that team, and it definitely shows for every single one of those points. The team just knows what to do, and that is very, very important when it comes to Highlander in particular.
Absolutely, and that kind of synergy does come into play. That was something I was going to talk to you about, was the fact that Lion King is playing. Obviously, I've casted, games with him before, and he has done very well. But coming in as a Merc in a grand final must be a little bit, I don't know, must shake up the chemistry a little bit with your team. I'm not sure how much they've played with him. Hopefully, a lot, so that they're prepared for this fixture. But we'll have to see how much Lion King actually does. He did actually perform very well. I'm just wondering whether their regular demo man, whoever that may be, I'm not sure, would play a different style. Who knows? But we're just kind of seeing what's going on here. A little bit of ice skating as people start to get into position. And we see Andrew once again just watching this sight line. And actually, I do think inVision have taken a leaf out of Lucrosa's book and just got their entire team onto this flank side, got Thazu into position, and just trying to get him to get some free shots onto the Lucrosa team. And he is just eyeing it up now. Can he get anything? No, he's just waiting. You see the sniper dot is so close to his head as he does take down Andrew. So there we go. The sentry gun is down, the sniper is down, and this is the time for them to move, Jake.
And right now inVision is slowly moving back. They still have that Uber charge, so does Skyro on his team here, slowly moving up. Lucrosa actually dry pushing his Uber has been popped defensively, taking down Lion King and TceeJaey. Uber too late for Nitstank, but saving just enough of his teammates to kind of stay alive. But what an amazing aggressive pop out of Skyro there onto the heavy. Very well done here by TceeJaey, taking down 2 very crucial classes for this push, and actually allowing Ganix to build up 1 more sentry, slowly pushing it forward, has the ammo and the team, but Officer Beast trying to take that damage, putting a lot of it on the Nuz, didn't quite manage to finish the job. Ganix going down as well to some nice stickies from Lion King, which means here inVision will have to move back eventually. They're actually still holding quite aggressively, but there has been called to move out. The whole team is slowly pushing back, trying to get an aggressive spot here. Andrew tried to just an inch out someone else, sacrificing his life to the spy, and eventually here managing to push the blue team to the first point, as they're actually taking the aggressive spot and not allowing the defensive team here putting up a sentry. Ganex is actually gonna put up a sentry far back. Force has been here executed onto Skyro by the soldier, trying to get a lot of done of the damage here. Nitstang on 100%. Skyro just had his Uber pop. It might be just enough for the attacking team to do something interesting here. Moving from the barn, Lion King Officer Bees, the only people who helping Nitstang. Nitstang on low health, forced out by Nas. Nas falling down to that. Only Garden Fungus is defending right now, getting pushed out by Ferryman. Sentry level 2 getting spammed onto the Lion King, getting out of this situation. CeeJaey very aggressive all by himself, constantly sapping the sentry, destroying it as well. Skyro in a lot of trouble, and he's getting popped, and he goes down on the staircase, leaving his heavy running away for his life. Unfortunately here, Andrew and his team here, Kronk, Lucrosa, have to move back all the way to the third point. It might even be it, but look at this. Kim Kronk Un taking down the Nitstang with a few nice pot shots, but look at this, inVision still pushing in on the third.
It's taken him 3 minutes, but Nightmare did getting a crucial pick there. Okay, his first point on the board, but it is a big one, and that slowed down the train. I mean, the pound train was coming up well. Andrew there picking up 3 frags is gonna just really slow things down. But I was gonna say the inVision combo was just in full flow. It was beautiful to watch. Lion King, CeeJaey, Nitstang, they were just all playing as a unit and just crushing anything that got close to them. And those first 2 points just falling like dominoes, and worked out really well for them. But that pick from Nightmare just absolutely crucial, just to open the doors. No heals for a few seconds there, allowed Lucrosa just to kind of pick people off one by one and get themselves a little bit stabilized. And we are at this third point, which of course inVision failed to push in that first round, so we're going to see if they can do anything. They are at an uber disadvantage. Need to make a play onto Skyro, or at least onto that sentry, which is watching the top area. It's only a level 1 at the moment, but Ganex is doing the best he can to try to build that up, as Garden Fungus gets a reflect rocket kill on the opposing Pyro. So no kind of dodgeball going on there between the Pyros. Ferry just taking a crit rocket to the face and dying from it. But I mean, this third point is often criticized, Jake, because people say, how do you kind of send in a sack? How do you kind of do a suicide? It's very difficult to get any pressure on the medic in the position where he's standing. He's got a sentry, he's got a demo, a heavy, everyone's just surrounding him. As Snoz takes down Nitstang, a blind debt there, takes down the medic. That is a drop. I think it's the first drop we've seen so far in this game, Jake, but that is huge.
Yeah, it's very impressive actually for both medics to hold out on the drop so far. Look at this. Lion King and Bees try to get something down by getting completely shot down by Nas and Krong respectively. And unfortunately this push, they were trying to get into position on the right side, getting close to the sentry, getting close to the combo, but dropping Nitstang there, not really his fault either. Is gonna slow down the offense even more so. And just kind of going back to what you said before, third point, like I said, is a very crucial point. I mean, you have to be incredibly aggressive when you're attacking, holding it out with the combo, not allowing the enemy team to build up any sort of defense, because once they do have that level 3 sentry and dispenser running up, it is almost impossible to push him without the Uber. And, well, even taking a few pot shots at it, the combo is not enough, especially if the enemy team has someone of Andrew's scope. No pun intended. But here it is. Again, look at this. Officer Beast is not even going anywhere close. He's just looking around, trying to get a few shots in of that rocket launcher. But so does Spee. He has a lot more breathing room here. Actually taking him down, Officer Beast. Also taking down Garden Fungus as well. And Kronk, 3 people down for the defensive team. Sentry is the only one running up. Uber has been forced as well on the Skyrovania. Nas is the recipient of that. Nice there, kill on the Lion King. But look at this. Nitstang has used his Uber charge there as well, trying to get as much possible spaces as he, well, possibly could. Costel taking down the sentry as well, and the injury going down Ganex, unfortunately falling down to the sniper rifle of Thazu. And finally here, inVision managing to push this card just a little bit, but look at this. Here, Lucrosa are not giving up yet without the help of the medic for some time here. Andrew taking down Scout, and here Kronk taking down Ferryman, and Tercia going down as well. Quite a few people dead for the inVision team. Cart is still, and Well, that's the problem here. Lucrosa will have enough time possibly to build up yet another defense for this point.
That's the thing with Borneo. You have a passive, as I say that, sorry, Noz there with the pipes, using that Iron Bomber to great effect to take down Nidstang, so he's died to the demo once again. Didn't quite get his Uber this time, but Skyravinia has 100% in the bank, and that's going to be a big Uber advantage. That's going to hurt inVision. That push looked good. They picked up 3 picks. You know, they started walking forward, they had a decent exchange, they re-pushed with the dry push after the Uber faded, and they took a lot of ground. But the problem with Borneo on this third point is the defending team can just kite it back to the low ground and re-push and still have easy access to the high ground, and inVision just didn't kind of cut off the areas that they needed to. But Thazu with the opening pick there takes down Andrew, but Noz there is going to take down Lion King. He's on a 3k right now, and Lucrosa aren't giving up just yet. They're waiting for their sniper to respawn. He's going to be up soon enough. CeeJaey getting very aggressive, but Ferry there with the reflect is going to take down Spee, and then Fungus gets a reflect, takes down Bees. Players are dying there, left, right, and centre. Both NGs have died, but the most important one is Ganex, meaning his sentry gun is not going to be watching that high ground. Nightmare got a pick onto CeeJaey. That's just going to slow down the push even more, and that's the thing, Jake. His pressure is good, but they're not taking advantage of it by putting pressure anywhere else. That cart is not moving, the flank is not being touched, and they're just able to collapse on the pressure every time it comes through one of the doorways.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things for a medic is that if your team, if you die as a medic, you need your team to just simply have a very quick decision as well. Pick it up later as the Uber has been popped by Nidstang, and Skyro late pop here on Noz only. Ferryman is the only person that is able to deny it. He's actually getting separated from his combo. The combo of the blue team here inVision managing to get out is Scout. Goes in, but no, he gets denied by the crossbow shot. I love to see those happen. Here Spee is roaming in the behind, but look at this whole inVision team is almost dying here. Nidstang on very low health here, trying to heal up his team. Lion King is still very aggressive, but he needs to get something done. But Noz, Kronk both alive, denying this whole area, taking down Lion King to only 1/3 of a health, and it's very difficult for him. He eventually goes down to Kim Kronkun as well as Thazu to Noz. Noz taking once again a very aggressive spot here. Nidstang falling down in that exchange, allowing Skyro to get a 100% Uber charge. But following up on what I said before, one of the most frustrating things for the medic is that when you die, your team is a little bit too scared to push in. They need to make a very quick decision. All collapse on the enemy team, you know, no matter what. I mean, you just lost your medic. What are you going to do? Or back out and leave the point to the enemy team. And this is what Lucrosa is doing very, very well, is that once their medic dies or doesn't have an Uber and they need to kind of back out, they pull every single one of their forces to just jump the enemy medic, and it works out for them very well, especially on the third point.
Yeah, for sure. And at the moment, Nightmare is the man who is turning up. He got a 4k with the revolver earlier on, and getting a backstab there onto Lion King, just slowing down that push. That Demo Man is so crucial in getting pressure on, and Lion King has been performing very well, but inVision at the moment are just slamming their heads against a brick wall. And the thing I'm feeling here, Jake, is they just need to YOLO it. They need to just hold W, get in there. When they went in earlier, it worked very well. Okay, so the end product meant that they didn't actually capture the point, but it didn't mean that, you know, the actual process wasn't good. And at the moment, they're just waiting. You can look at CeeJaey, look at Ferry. They're just kind of holding out outside. They're waiting for Thazu to get a pick, but it's very difficult from this angle to get a huge pick. Not, as I say that, Noz goes down to 2 HP. That would have been a huge pick, actually. So maybe I'm talking out of the back of my rear end, but who knows? I just think inVision just need to go in here. They've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the round timer. If that round timer gets to 0, that means Lucrosa only need to capture, 3 points to win the game. Lion King's starting to look like he wants to walk forward here, but he's not being assisted by the rest of his team. He's just going to tank all of that damage. I mean, Jake, what do you think inVision need to do here? Like, what's their point of entry?
Well, this is the whole point with them, is that once they actually got the crucial picks here, Andrew going down, Ganex going down, the whole combo and Sentry just being pushed out of the position, they're just lacking kind of the push, the drive to go in. But saying this, Nidstang going in with a Lion King trying to do a lot of damage, getting pushed around. Look at this, Lion King is actually finding a really clever spot, unfortunately leaving Nidstang to basically die. CeeJaey very low health, getting cleaned up as well. Lion King cleaning up. Noz is very scared here. Skyro taking a few pot shots right there. Very low health, managing to get out with his life. saying that Costello taking out Andrew, very important here pick, but no medic on the front lines means the team has to be kind of defensive. Kronk basically, Kim Kronkoon sitting on the card here, Nightmare, going for the medic. He's very close, he's whiffing one stab, no, he gets found out by Ferryman finally, running away. That level 3 sentry taking care of the Pyro. Unfortunately, it's then going down again to Nas. So unfortunate for the medic, only 3 people up for inVision. And kind of going backtracking what you said before, inVision's just had the right picks and had everything going for them. It's just they lack this last final to just go in, take this position and just entrench themselves. They allowed every single time for Lucrosa to build up the kind of a defense again.
Jake, I'm not, okay, he's moved. I thought Ganex was asleep. I didn't see him move for about 40 seconds. He was just staring at his sentry, and he's just by his dispenser. He's moving the minimal amount needed. Oh no, he takes a sticky, and he has to actually move now. But yeah, I mean, that sentry is just doing all the work. He just needs to keep it alive by, just shooting the odd rescue ranger at it. Kronk there with a double kill, double domination there onto the combo, and it's looking very, very bad here as 6 players go down for inVision. A lot of pressure onto Nidstang here. Can he go down? No, but there's nobody near the car. Nidstang is going to get onto the cut, but he's going to get finished off, and surely this is going to be half over for this round. Lucrosa looking so strong on this 3rd point. Let's not forget that inVision picked this map. This is their choice of map. And coming into it, they failed to capture... they failed to win the 1st round, and now they failed to capture the 3rd point of this 2nd round. And I don't want to say the word, but it really does look like they're struggling at the moment, and it's difficult. I mean, mentally coming into this, you're all hyped up. It's a grand final. How must it feel that you can't capture the 3rd point on the map that you've chosen? I mean, Lucrosa just must be buzzing right now. Like, they just must think, hey, this map is over. I mean, that could play to their disadvantage if they get a little bit too cocky. But inVision, they really need to stay strong and stay focused on this map. It's not over. They could still do exactly the same to Lucrosa that they've just done to themselves. But some of them might start to think, hey, let's start talking about map 2. And it's not looking good for them at the moment. But yeah, Lucrosa just steely defense there on the 3rd point.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just very unfortunate to see it happen every time, and I think it was 3 times where inVision managed to take out the sentry spot, managed to push out the enemy team from the position, but every single time Lucrosa edged their way forward, regained the position, such a crucial one as well. And it's just worked out for them. But as we're moving into the last round of this map here, Borneo, I constantly, say the other word, but saying that, Andrew taking down Thazza, very important pick here for the beginning for the offensive team. Defensive team not having a sniper does huge sidelines, very difficult. Nos eventually going down to Ferryman, nice flare shot there. Ferryman paying with his life for this one, and Officer Bees as well. That's 3 people down for the defenders. Sentry gun very far back here, right next to the wall on the 3rd point, taking out Krog. Nice job there. Ganex is still pushing the card. I mean, as a very faithful engineer to the card does. Currently, the card is still getting inched forward, and look at this, inVision already running away. Nidstick all by himself, only having a scout to help him onto the 2nd point. I mean, Lucrosa have seemingly no effort whatsoever, not even having to put an Uber out of Skyrovania, pushing onto the 1st point and moving forward, trying to take the 2nd. It's difficult, CeeJaey. It's very difficult for inVision to find any kind of solution for what Lucrosa has to offer.
I mean, do you know what Lucrosa did there? They literally just held W. They all just ran in there, and it's still what they're doing. They might die because of it, but if they get a trade, oh wow, collateral there from, I mean, Andrew is, destroying the flank. Yeah, I mean, with one bullet, he takes down the entire flank, and takes down Costello there. There's 3 players left alive for inVision. Nidstang has used his Uber. It's just Tuja, Lion King. They're going to die, and that is going to be the cap, I'm afraid. Maybe inVision just said, screw it, this map is over, let's think about Steel.
Yeah. But it's smart. It's a smart choice.
It's a smart choice, but I do think there, like, Andrew got into a good position and took down Thazu. Like, that's a big thing on payload. If you get a kill on the sniper, it opens up so many more routes for your team to get in. But once that had happened, you saw Noz just walking forward, and just walking forward and just shooting. And he did so much damage that when Kronk started to walk forward, he got a couple. People are just walking forward and just doing so much damage that when you're the defending team, people are just running into you and dealing damage to you, and you're losing. A pyro. Oh, I've lost a demo. I've lost a sniper. They're just under constant pressure. And we saw that moment where Twisted and Ganix were just sat on the cart and they were just pressuring the cart. And inVision didn't have the players to block that cart. They physically couldn't do it because they were either weak or dead. And that's what Lucrosa did. They just held W. And okay, part of my mind is saying that maybe inVision mentally had just moved on to Steel already and thought, hey, let's move on to the second map. It's not worth getting stressed over this map. But on the other hand, that's still winnable. You can still hold the first 2 points for 3 minutes. That's not a big ask. And then hold third or fourth. It's not a huge ask for them to do that. And Lucrosa just said, okay, let's go balls to the wall and walk forward. So interesting end to the game, I guess. But 2-0 on Borneo to Lucrosa. Let's not forget that was inVision's map pick. So we move on to the second map of tonight. Possibly the last map. Possibly the second out of 3. We'll see how it goes. This is Lucrosa's map pick. It is CP Steel. And it's kind of like Marmite. If you've got Marmite in your country, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. You don't kind of like, oh yeah, Steel's an okay map. No, you either love it because you think, oh, I've got a big Highlander brain. I love playing me some Steel. I've got all the strats. Or you hate it because you say, no, it's dumb. It's got a pit. And I don't like the fact that the doors close, which is something that's been said to me by some Sixers players. So, but Jake, you're inVision, okay? You're inVision's medic right now, or you're their captain, or, you're talking to your team. You've just lost the map you've chose. How would you pick your team up and say, okay, we can win their map? How do you psych yourself up and your team up for this second map?
Well, as a fan of positive encouragement rather than criticism, what they did last map, which is basically, well, we didn't manage to push to the last point. It's basically over. Let's just start thinking about what we do for Steel. Just basically forfeit the last point. Just let them cap very fast. Put your mind towards the next map is just a very huge step for maintaining your morale. And obviously the game is definitely not over for inVision. And like I said before, Steel is one of the more interesting maps. Very difficult to cast. I have to admit that basically action happens all over the map as well, which is, where Wiethoofd on a camera comes into play. Very crucial here to kind of find all those interesting fights that happen, because we're not omnipotent. We don't have eyes all over the place, even though we do have this, nice real little help in terms of, X-ray. But when it comes to Steel and when it comes to inVision, what they have to do right now is just to kind of sit down and talk about this map. If they didn't rehearse this map before, if they didn't scrim at all, and if they had troubles, because obviously this is the finals, this is the Prem finals, most teams just kind of taking load off. They're not playing anymore. They didn't manage to get as far as inVision and Lucrosa did, so they kind of stopped playing at some point. And who do you scrim against? What do you do in such situation? You don't have any kind of practice. And if inVision did not kind of rehearse this map before, it's going to be quite difficult. There's also one more aspect to Steel. This map is pretty much, you can kind of draw up a strategy for this map on paper and still execute it very well. It happened before to me. I do believe a few more teams have also kind of exercised this, because like I said, this map is very difficult kind of to understand. But once you understand Steel, understand what it offers, what kind of spots and places you can push your team with, and utilize those to your advantage, you can kind of prepare for this map on paper and basically get an edge on the enemy team. So if I was inVision's medic, as you asked me before, just kind of rounding it up off this tangent, what I would do right now is just to, if I don't have any strategies for this map, just come up with one, at least one, anything that allows the team to kind of know what they have to do at any given point of time is very, very important to keep up, the strength and the mental strength of the team. But when it comes to here Lucrosa, they already showed a lot of teamwork going into the first map, Borneo, which, like you said before, it was the pick of inVision. And they managed to just get a 2-0 win over them and managing to get themselves the first point of this final. and it's possibly the last map we're gonna see this final. But I'm not gonna give up on Vision just yet. I mean, I have them close to my heart, as there's many Polish people in that team as well. You know, Thazu, four starters, Stingin as well, kind of managing the team as well. It is definitely possible for inVision to take something out of this map. Maybe possibly push it to Badwater. I mean, it already has been quite exciting. And once again, Andrew is a very difficult person to deal with. I had the displeasure of playing against him as a medic, and knowing what he can do by himself, even without the help of his team. Just even, you know, taking that 1-for-1 trade is good enough. I mean, you're trading a sniper for like a demo or a heavy, you slow down the entire combo very easily. And, you know, the enemy sniper can be engaged enough for your team to kind of get out or get into position. So like I said, Steel is a very interesting map. We're going to be pretty much all over the place. inVision will definitely have to prove something to themselves, not only to Lucrosa, but also to themselves and to everyone who doubts them, that they have what it takes to, you know, take an edge on over Lucrosa on this map. Whew.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, they need to. Otherwise, it's GG, it's game over. You know, see you next season, kind of thing. You know. We'll have to see how they do it. I mean, just to take a quick look at the logs from the previous round, you were talking about Andrew again. Obviously, he did top frag in the first round, and he did again. He got 20 kills in the second round, but so did Kronk. Kronk going 20 for 2. So a nice 10 KD there coming out of the Lucrosa Heavy, as the medic also, Skyro, only dying once. So, you know, not very many deaths coming out of the combo players of Lucrosa. And when you take a look at the actual frags, 7 of the Lucrosa players got more kills than anybody else on the server. The only person was Ganex, who, you know, we thought had dozed off for a couple of minutes there. He was the only person not to outfrag it, everybody on inVision. So inVision, they're kind of, I don't know, really like needing to find a way through there, and that does surprise me on a map that they've picked. And it, like I said, it does not bode well when you go onto Steel, which is historically, it is such a team-based map that if you do not have your strats down, then you're going to struggle against a team that does. And if Lucrosa have picked this, then you've got to imagine that they are prepared. They've got ideas. They know what they're going to be doing on each point. Their rotations are all going to be down. So, you know, inVision, I mean, they've got the players for it. We saw how their combo just tore through Lucrosa on the first 2 points on that second round there. You know, Lion King and Tuja just walked forward. Nidstang was well protected. He did die 8 times to Skyro's 1. And I don't think that's down to Nidstang. I don't think that's down to the inVision combo. I'd say it's more down to there wasn't much pressure on Skyro when he was on the defense. There was just no pressure on his life at all. And the only time he actually was called into action was when they had to have an Uber exchange. So we'll have to see how that goes. Steel is a definitely different kettle of fish. I have played against CeeJaey, who is apparently very good on Steel. I played against him in the Nations Cup this summer on Steel, and he did seem to have some decent strats himself. So maybe inVision, maybe this is an ace up their sleeve. Maybe they do have some ideas, and they're just going to wait for Lucrosa to play into their hands. But we do have Agi coming in to sub in for Nightmare on Lucrosa. Nightmare has to go. Who was pulling in some big frags himself on Borneo. So we'll see if Agi is sufficiently warmed up and ready. But I'm just gonna come out here, Jake, and just say, who do you think is going to win this map?
This map, you know, having Lucrosa in such a high performance state as they showed us on the previous map, as well as that this is their pick, so they actually, you know, they picked this map consciously. So, well, one would actually suspect that the team actually knows what they're doing on this map. It's gonna be very difficult for inVision to do anything about it. And now that inVision is currently going to be defending with Lucrosa basically attacking with the first kill going to Andrew onto Officer B. So unfortunate for the soldier here, as we can see currently A point is being capped, you know, no contention there. Used to have some people trying to put spam, you know, get those few seconds more, but these days, just everyone just puts more defense onto B. And look at this, Tazu trying to get a pick here onto the spawn, but Wow, what is going on right now? Kronk and his team just currently managing to put most of their forces under A point. They might be looking at E straight push as they're getting ready as the gate opens. Thasso's still looking to spawn, not seeing anyone for some time now. And it's gonna be quite difficult for him to actually do anything about it. They're moving currently into the lobby area, pushing forward, locking down the spawn. This is the famed E push as they're currently moving the connector, locking down Tercio, losing his gun. This could be it already. I mean, look at this, a whole combo for the defensive team here. inVision are locked down in their own connector with 4 people on the point itself. Even the Pyrogon Fungus has jumped over the point, pushing away point. Such a crucial strategy. Look at this, Ganix going down. Eventually, that strategy of the sentry spot onto last point is not going to work out, but they still have Garden Fungus getting healed on the point, Speed getting some heals up as well. So much time onto E point already, and look at this, Kronk is locking down the spawn. Unfortunately, they have to move out as they are losing a few players. Nas all by himself, 27 HP, getting a few pot shots by the Pyro. Ooh, nice arrow there by Skyro on him. Both medics still 100% uber charge. The points slowly being ticked down as the time progresses. And right now, inVision are kind of torn. Do we defend B? Do we defend E? What do we do right now? They're stuck in the corner here, and they need to make a decision. As look at this once again, Pyro Garden Fungus just air blast or like jumping over the point, getting a little bit more time on it, but looks like...
Dude, I want to call him parkour fungus right now. He is parkour fungus, using that flare gun to great effect. Just or the detonator or whichever scorch shot. Not sure, I didn't see what he was running, but one of the flare guns allowing him to bounce around there like freaking Super Mario. But the B pressure is coming in now, and Lucrosa have just done exactly what you should do, and still they force the Uber as well, and they're acting to use very early on there. Andrew takes down CeeJaey, so no heavy for the defense, and Skyrovania has 100% Uber in the bank, ready for his team to push C. And you look at the E point, there's no cap time left on it, Jake, but they used it as a distraction. They put so much time and effort in there that it just pulled the entire of the inVision forces over to the E point to have to defend that. Twisted now getting more pressure on there, and that's just opening the doors. It just means that some players have to fight the E point while the other players can go to C and just get the cap down. And this is really just kind of, this is brilliant Steel play. This is how, like, if you want to know how to play Steel and just drag people around the map to where you want them to be, this is what Lucrosa are doing right now.
Yeah, and it's working out very well for them. Tercio is down again. He's actually running a mini sentry because he cannot get this level 3 sentry up and running, getting all the time focused by the enemy team. And once again, the same strategy coming out. Stacking E point with most of the forces, holding in the connector. Quite safe here with 100% overcharge, Skyrovania, and the whole combo with Nas and Kronk guarding the team from pushing through E. And there you go, Nitstank popping onto CeeJaey, taking down Kronk eventually, trying to get a few more picks out of here, but Nas getting a much uber out of it. Nitstank is a little bit of a pickle here, gonna get finally spammed out, blocked by Ajay, as right now is only Lion King trying to put some damage out of the medic. Medic is very low here, Skyro on 15 HP, but he's on fire, managing to survive on 7, getting that small health back there. Hopefully his health will tick up. Yeah, finally gets out medium. And look at this, still so much pressure being put onto E point, putting inVision in this panic state. I hate this kind of thing when I play Steel and on defense. If the enemy team is pushing E and I don't have any kind of response for this, this is the worst. As Thasso is the only person currently on the E, trying to save this point from being eventually capped. Twisted finally get shot by Thasso. That was the last straw that they needed. Look at this, Garden Focus is actually jumping with the power jack as well, trying to finish off the cap. So close. Nitstank's actually putting a few arrows in there. Garden Focus, is he gonna do it? Lion King is unable to do something. Andrew's taking him down, and there he goes. Garden Focus is the MVP of the first map. I'm losing my voice. Oh my god, what was that strategy coming out of Lucrosa?
I think their strategy was just try to cap E as quickly as they could, and you know what, they could have waited 2 seconds, so we could have got a 4:20 time. That would have you know, cheeky blaze it in chat, you know, would have been good for the viewers. But hey, 4 minutes and 18 is, that's, you know, I'm not going to say it's a super fast time. Okay, it's not the fastest time we've seen, and it's not even one of the fastest times we've seen, but the way that they played it, inVision were just under constant pressure the entire time. There was a really good exchange there on the E point. Lion King, CeeJaey and Nitstank were just kind of there, and they took down 2 or 3 players. They did really well, and that Uber exchange looked like it was going to be winning for them, but Lucrosa just kited it, and the players that were alive just kind of landed kind of just landed on them and just destroyed them. And there was a moment there where inVision were only 3 players alive, and those 3 players were just scrambling to try to defend the point. Just to point out, CeeJaey is on 0 points right now. He's the engineer on defense. Like, you would have thought he would have got something, but no, he just had no time to get the sentry up. He just had no time or space, and Lucrosa just have all the time in the world to play with here. They can just, you know, defend B, and I expect they're going to be expecting an A push from inVision. We'll have to see what inVision decide to do here, whether they're just going to go with the old vanilla A, B, C, D, E. But I don't know. I mean, that was just very, very aggressive play. But this is still not over. There's still plenty of time for inVision to get back into this.
I mean, Lucrosa did an amazing job there, kind of cheeking out the E point. It's very crucial. I mean, it allows you to basically get an easy point out of this. And right now, inVision have that very difficult spot of deciding, do we go the alphabet or do we just simply go for E? And that's what Lucrosa will be expecting. And with that little time on the clock, I mean, they can basically just kind of forego any sort of defense onto B or any of the other points, just stack people onto E, because inVision are up against the wall at point. And now Lucrosa has this massive advantage of knowing what they're gonna do, what the positions are. I mean, look at this. They already know how to counteract this position here. Garden, Fungus, and Nas already holding out on the E point. There's a Tercio building up a level 3 in a very aggressive spot, trying to get something done, but unfortunately CeeJaey, who was helping him out with this one, getting taken down by Andrew's headshot. Here Twisted trying to take out, regain position here. Sentry Gun eventually going down. Tercio a little bit of a pickle here, trying to build up yet another Sentry Gun. Kronk is currently holding E all by him lonesome, with a few people left in the spawn, currently trying to decide, you know, just waiting out what the enemy team is gonna do. With only 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, well, Lucrosa has a very comfortable spot here.
Spee comes in there. I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of tilt. I'm calling it now. You've got your Demo Man, your Pyro, and your Heavy. As a medic, you'd expect a bombing soldier not to cause you that much trouble, but Spee came in there, 2 rockets, straight to the face, and takes him down. And Nidsang there had like an uber advantage going on there. That has just been wiped out. 2 minutes to go. They need to capture the next 3 points. It is still very doable. It takes about 40 seconds for that last point to go down. So if inVision win this next fight, they can do it. But hey, an uber advantage would have been very, very tasty for them to take into that next exchange. They are rotating all the way through spawn. They're going from B all the way to A. This is going to take time. It's time that they don't really have to play with here. Skyro is at 100%, and it does look like the flank is holding onto the E point for Lucrosa. There is a sentry by Ganex just watching the point, and the rest of the team is watching Shelf and the BC connector. So going to be very, very difficult for them to get this. They really need to just focus E now and hope that a lot of things go their way. But it's not looking good. They're actually taking control of the E spawn here, Jake.
Yeah, and well, they are controlling the lobby, but the enemy team here, Lucrosa, holding in the connector, very good spot to hold on, very close to the point as well, and having Nas up, as well as Andrew just hard scoping that corner, taking down Thazo as we speak of. Twisted taking out Officer Bees and Lion King as well in the back area. He's all by himself. Finally getting spammed out by CeeJaey, but that is not enough. Only 1 minute to go. If they want to cap this point, they need to start having 3 people on the point at the 40-second mark. This is how much it takes to cap the last point, and they don't have time. Finally, Uber has been popped in the DE area onto Lion King, and CeeJaey trying to take down the sentry gun. Ganex eventually going down here. CeeJaey taking down Spee as well. 3 people down here for the defenders, finally putting some people onto the point. 3 people up, but look at this, using that nice flare gun shot by Garden Fungus, going down here. Oh my god, what is going on in the connector right now? Red team finally popped, losing 5 of their players. Only Skyro, Andrew, Kronk, Garden Fungus alive, holding on the connector, but it's definitely not enough time for inVision to do anything about it. Thazo taking just a flavor shot onto Garden Fungus, you know, for Log's measure, but CeeJaey, this is absolutely insane. This is what I said before. I mean, Lucrosa had such a comfortable position to be in. I mean, they can just stack people on E and defend it completely, and it just worked out for them. They kind of just left B alone and stack people in the connector. Very good spot to hold on. Very difficult to penetrate by the spy or any of the flankers if you have your whole team there. And that was just enough to secure them the first point of CP Steel. You know, putting inVision on a back foot here. I mean, inVision have to basically win every single game from now on, and that is a very, very difficult spot to be in right now. I really do expect the morale to be very low, but they still need to find that little bit of fuel left in their hearts to keep going for, a few more maps at least.
Yeah, it's a difficult position to be in. You lose the first map, there still is that margin for error. You can say, okay, let's just get to the second map, we can win the next year. I mean, I've played in a Prem Grand Final where I lost the first map. Back in Season 9, we lost Steel to Chess Club, and you got to pick yourselves up and say, we're just going to win the next two. And I'm sure that's what inVision were doing, but when the first round of the second map is that one-sided, it's very, very difficult to kind of get yourself into the mentality. You've got to say, okay, now what's going wrong on that? What happened in that round? What do we do to fix what went wrong there? Because Lucrosa just seemed in control. In the attack, they just didn't let inVision breathe for a moment. They had no moment to settle themselves and set up for the next point. Usually on Steel, we see an exchange, we see, an attack, and then we see the defending team either regain control of the point or move back to the next point and set up there. We never saw inVision set up on C. We never saw them really have control of E. After the B-E kind of split push that happened, inVision just barely had a time to set up. I mean, take a look at the logs. Tercio went 0 for 6. He got 50 DPM. He had no time to set up anything. Andrew got 17 frags. He was just given the space because the rest of the team was just fighting. He was in the back lines getting picks. So this is game point now for Lucrosa. If they win this round, they are in Prem for Season 14. They are in the red. They are defending. And now inVision in the blue are going to see if they can attack and capture that U point, Jake, and get themselves back into this grand final.
Yeah, and Lucrosa once again onto defense here with Ganix standard sentry position onto B, forfeiting A standard. Nothing out of ordinary here. Andrew very aggressive spot, looking through the very small crack in the window. Taking down CeeJaey, very important here. CeeJaey just kind of moving in, trying to get a nice position, taking out Thaz as well. That's a 2k for Andrew. Tercio is currently having a level 3 sentry kind of protecting the spawn at the moment, but there's no one to protect it for. Lion King trying to put out some spam here onto Nas. Basically a few demo fights here. Nas quite low on health. Trying to get something done. Uber has been popped here, forced onto Skyro, very low health right now, flashing a few people to kind of get it down much faster so they can build up just again. But look at this, Costel and Officer B's are currently in his position, and Officer B's on quite low health. If it wasn't just for that, he would have gotten for the medic already, but they're holding very aggressively right around the corner. Bold position, bold strategy caught, and as some people might say, but there is an Uber pop by the defensive team, offensive team here. Andrew taking down Thaz, and well, they're pushing into the sentry, taking down eventually. No, he's moving out. He's moved out by Ganix into much more defensive spot, and is still holding his position. Only 2 people up and left for the attackers, and it's just inVision are just out of ideas for this map. I mean, Lucrosa are in complete control here, and it's just difficult for this. It's just very difficult for me to see this. I mean, I know we've all been on this kind of side of the trench, kind of playing against a team that's very difficult to play against. You seem to have no answers, but you need to find this position. CeeJaey getting low on health here, trying to finally eventually getting cleaned up by Nas and Nitstang. Nitstang and his team need to just find some kind of idea for this. I mean, Ganix having those sentries up and running 24/7, just lost his, but he's building up another one. Skyro holding so close to the corner. Such a difficult position to be in for inVision.
You know what? I'm going to give credit to inVision there. They did what I feel they should be doing and just going in. They need to stop hesitating like they did on Borneo and just go straight in. We see some interesting weapon choices right now. Thazu is running the Huntsman and Garden Fungus is on the Phlogistinator. So, I mean, we got a Flog and a Bow and Arrow in this grand final. I'm not sure whether this is tilt or, or choices, but hey, inVision actually have got time on the E point. It looks like they're going for an E push, and this tank is at 90%. He has to be careful as Spee's using the conch, getting aggressive. He's going to get the Uber. No, there's every behind him. Oh, he uses it. Kronk forcing the Uber from the spawn door. And, oh no, Lion King is going to get thrown into the pit. That's so unfortunate. Just as they were starting to get into a good position here. But Lucrosa now have 100% Uber advantage. They are in control. They can still defend this point. But at the end of the day, inVision just need to regroup and say, okay, that didn't work. It's not the end of the world. Let's repush and, try a different tactic. They are spreading out the forces. You take a look at Lucrosa. They're in the BC connector right now. Garden Fungus hasn't got any denial because he doesn't have that air blast as he's running the flog. So maybe they need to throw a couple of players onto E, get them fighting, and then rotate around to B. Something like that. They need to keep at it, and they need to not think it's over. As Sentry Gun does go down here, Jake. So, they're creating space.
Yeah, and here Garden Fungus is actually using that flog, trying to take down the soldier, but no air blast to protect him. It's a very easy pick for Officer Bees, as both Ubers have been popped, lanking a little bit too far for his own comfort to taking down this Sentry Gun, backed up by CeeJaey. Quite a lot of flashes going. Sentry eventually goes down. CeeJaey gonna pay with his life here. Krunk in the window area, spamming onto the point, eventually getting a few picks here, but unfortunately CeeJaey also taking down Lion King, and this whole offense mounted up by inVision, leaving only 3 people alive, and still B point is untouched by them. E point still seeing some contention from Bickley Boy, but unfortunately it's just not enough. I mean, every single time inVision tries something new, Lucrosa seems to be one step ahead. Every single time they try to get a push going, they just find those picks, crucial picks in very important positions here. Spee trying to get a jump onto the medic here. Nitstang thankfully getting protected by CeeJaey, finally getting some timing on the E point by the scout, harassing that E. Ganix eventually got pissed, putting up a level 2 sentry there, protecting, just for good measure. And look at this, E point, B point still not being capped. I mean, so many blue players there, and they're still not standing on the point. I mean, that's what you said before. I think at this point of the game, at this time, the tilt factor is starting to come into play. And, for those who are old enough to remember those times where people actually went outside to have fun, there's some machines called bumpers, I believe. And if you tilt them way too many times, they just stop working. You can't control them anymore. And this is slowly what's going to happen into inVision if they don't stop this situation to be going.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the second cap as twisted. The big twister getting the drop onto Nidstang there, landing a couple of meat shots and dropping the medic. And they, just as things were starting to look good for them, actually their Twister gets taken down, combination of Beast and Lion King, and Beast is on the E point, so he's getting time, and actually Lucrosa are bleeding a few players here. They're 3 down, including Noz, who's on a 20-second respawn now after getting domed there by Fazu. So inVision slowly crawling their way back up here. They're in a good position. Kronk just not in a place he wants to be right now. Tertier with the shotgun, whipping it out and taking him down. And at the moment, Lucrosa just seem to be a little bit out of sorts. They're not in the coordinated position they seem to be. But Garden Fungus, they're getting a couple of frags. Make that 3 to really kind of settle things up. The Uber is used. Nidstang does survive though, so he's going to have a nice meaty advantage over Skyro as long as he doesn't die or get forced in the next few seconds. So this really is the moment, Jake. This is the time for them to, for inVision to take the bull by the horns and say, okay, this is our round now. They need to take this Uber advantage, plow it through to C, take it all the way through to E, win this round, and they are back in this grand final and really put Lucrosa on the ropes. But at the moment, that sticky trap, I'm just watching.
No. Ajay gets a drop onto Nidstang. Such an unfortunate. Managed to wait out the ferryman, who was just kind of roaming around looking for a spine. He was right up to his nose, and Nidstang dropping that Uber is such a crucial moment. Leaves his team all without any heals. CeeJaey is just kind of trying to get a few pot shots at Garden Fungus, but without a medic it's going to be so difficult. And here inVision, like you said, they need to take the bull by the horns, use the fact that the enemy team has very unforgiving spawn times. 20 seconds of not being able to do anything after you die is very, very crucial, especially for the E point, and that's what they need to be looking at right now. They have 2 points secured already. Skyro is 100% uber charge, however. Nidstang on only 30 right now, trying to get some dry push going in. A few exchanges there. Ferryman unfortunately going down to a sticky trap by Nas, and now look how aggressive Lucrosa is. They're not holding onto C point anymore. They're moving into the connector. They can't do it. There's a lot of sticky traps being laid down by Lion King. But look at this. They're moving and they have the Uber dropping Nas and Garden Fungus. Unfortunately, there, Skyrovania. Such an unfortunate situation for the medic, but they're moving in with Krog. Still a little bit of Uber charge left, pushing in, taking a lot of spam, but taking Tercio as a consolation prize. Nice pick there by Castellan to Skyrovania, allowing Nissen to have full Uber advantage, and only 5 people up for Lucrosa at the moment. They're gonna cap E eventually, and whittled down by Bickley Boy, kind of always contesting this, getting a nice few arrows. 8 minutes is not a bad time as far as steel is concerned, and well, inVision managed to find a way to stop this Lucrosa domination that was going on for the past few rounds.
Kronk was so close to getting a 3k on the combo. He was getting the last flashes of Uber, and Nidstang went down to about 15 HP, just running away through that BCE connector, and it was very close. You know, a couple of yards one way or the other, he could have got him. But in the end, Nidstang got away. Skyro got backstabbed, and then the repush coming in from inVision was successful. 7:57 is not a fast time. Let's just put it that way. It's not a fast time, but it does mean that that is a time. And hey, you can whittle off a couple of minutes per point, and you know you can get yourself back in this game. And inVision are going to say, hey, the game is still playable right now. You know, it's not over. They can win this round. So they need to realize the aggression is going to come out of Lucrosa, and they need to be prepared for that, and they need to be prepared that they're going to be pulled both ways from A to B to E, all over the place.
Yeah, and here, CeeJaey, they need to keep a cool head right now in inVision. With as big of a threat that Andrew, Nas, and Kronk are on the enemy team, they have to kind of find a way to just simply avoid these players or kind of take an edge out of them. I mean, in simple DM situation, the Lucrosa team has seemed always to take the edge over the enemy team here in inVision, having troubles dealing with that. But when it comes to kind of cheeky strategies and kind of flanking them at the right time, Nos is kind of clueless as to how to deal with that kind of situation. I mean, he's always in such a far forward position, but Thazu taking down Ganex with his sentry gun as well. Such an important pick here, as right now Lucrosa trying to do the E-strat once again. This time I don't think inVision is gonna fall for it. They're taking out the connector area with Lion King, just spamming out the enemy team, and I think it's gonna be enough. Without that sentry up running on the E point, level 3, such a crucial thing to do, it's gonna be difficult for Lucrosa to actually well, cheek out this E strategy once again. Andrew is once again a very aggressive spot, but getting chased by Officer B is very close here. And yeah, Lucrosa managed to kind of pop out the Uber. Exchange has been here done. Tercio losing his gun, as well as the Spencer. Very unfortunate there, taking a few exchanges. Oh, Scar is so low health, taking a few punches, 7 HP and on fire, but managing to get out with his life intact. Nidstang on 100 on the full HP, so no troubles there. Quite a lot of spam being exchanged here, but looks like inVision are still, well, in as much control as they can be at this point of the game.
I mean, Thazu with that pick there was huge. It meant that they snuffed out that AE push, but in the end, the Uber exchange has just been perfect for Lucrosa, and they've managed to cap the B point off of the back of that. So what, about 1 minute and 45 seconds is taking them to do the first 2 points. Now the pressure really is on inVision. They need to make sure that this C and E points are well protected, but they're just rushing forward. Twisted there takes down Ferry. He's onto Nidstang. He's going to take him down as well. The medic was down to about 80%, 85% Uber. Twisted, just holding W, is just going to pound him down, but Tuja comes in, gets a 3k, takes down Kronk and Andrew. Skyro is going to survive with 100% Uber. He has Noz and Garden Fungus for company. They're moving on to C right now, but Lion King is there with his medic. They can maybe try to defend this, as the attacking classes are going to have a little bit of a difficult time here, Jake, trying to capture the C point without sort of... without a heavy or anything like that, as Coastal is coming in from behind. Can he move on to Skyro? He beeps the stab, and maybe that was the opportunity for them to get back into the game, but it does look like this C point may get caps now.
Yeah, and those respawn times are very, very unforgiving. Over 20 seconds of just being out of the play. Nidstang on only 60 HP percent. Skyro actually getting forced down there on the C point, but that's a very important pop, as they're taking A, B, C very easily with 5 minutes to spare, and only DE getting were left to cap. It's going to be quite easy for them to kind of find a solution to this problem with all the doors open. As I said, doors are very difficult for 6 players to understand, and right now all the doors are open for the attacking team here. Lucrosa inching their way forward. They're not capping E just yet, waiting for the team to get in position here. Tercio actually running a level or a mini sentry there, getting spammed out by Garden Fungus, but look at this. Lucrosa slowly moving into the E point. CeeJaey is getting a bit more... inVision getting a little bit more pressure on them, as if Lucrosa stacks E as they do right now, and inVision lacking the players to kind of stop that from happening. it's gonna be very difficult. 4 times, very close to capping Adia, taking down there, very close to stabbing Nithing as well, taking them to 100%, 100 health. But look at this, one more person getting claimed by the pit. I'm losing my words right now because there's so much stuff happening again. 4 people up for the defenders. Uber has been popped in the E spawn onto Noz and Kronk. E point still getting capped. Tuja trying to get something done, but without the help of his medic, he's not gonna get much else. Ferryman getting some spam from the mini center from Ganex. A lot of people stacking E point. Not a lot of people trying to defend it. Only 3 people up. CeeJaey. This is it.
That is it. That is all she wrote. Lucrosa capping the E point there with about 3.5 minutes to spare almost. Pretty easy going in the end as they take their map quite comfortably, and that is going to be 2 maps to 0 for them in this grand final. Both maps going 2-0 as well without dropping around. They're going to be pretty chuffed about that. inVision probably feeling a little bit sorry for themselves, having to lick their wounds, missing out on promotion once again to the Premiership, but congratulations to Lucrosa. Missed out in the semi-finals last time around, but this time they are going up towards the Premiership division as high champions, and they'll be playing in Season 14 with the big boys. And Jake, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just, at some points, it just looked like inVision were playing really well. I mean, there were moments there where they had players like Fazu had a couple of big plays. Lion King seemed to be doing consistently well at times. It's difficult to kind of discredit them. It just seems that Lucrosa just looks so much more comfortable as a team.
Yeah, and that is probably the bottom line of today's game, is that Lucrosa seem to have an answer for everything that inVision has prepared. They had their team in the right positions. They had their team together, first off. Skyrovania was pretty well protected, like you said, in the first map by Kronk. Kronk taking this very kind of defensive position, protecting the combo rather than being part of it or roaming. And with Noz basically just being the spearhead of every single push, getting really far forward, but never really leaving Scaro's Medigun range. That was very crucial as well, you know, getting all them heals that he could get. And obviously you can't really skip over Andrew, who has been such a crucial force behind the success of Lucrosa here. Like I said before, Andrew, I had the displeasure of playing against him, and he is an absolute insane sniper, you know, playing from across the pond, having this little advantage of having high ping, even forcing Thazzer into going for a short while into bow and arrow strategy, and that basically speaks for itself. You know, if you force the enemy sniper to just go the medieval, it already says a lot. And full props to Lucrosa for, you know, taking this map. They definitely were very, very well prepared. They had a really good season behind them, and finally they managed to earn what's theirs. You know, a spot in the Premiership division for the next season. Well, yeah, I mean, that was a very enjoyable game to watch and cast. I mean, I think you do agree with me, CeeJaey, here. You know, both teams.
It was really good. I mean, I was expecting a decent game. Both of these sides, like we said, had a little bit of history in trying to get into Prem over the past few seasons. So I was expecting a lot of action, and that's what happened. And I was surprised. I was surprised at Lucrosa's performance on Borneo. I was surprised at how confident they looked on Steel. They really seemed to have practiced their strats and did it very, very well. And, you know, looking at the logs here, I think Wiethoofd's got the wrong logs on the screen. He's just fixed them now. He's telling me. But yeah, Spee there, top fragging 19 to 11. Andrew with 16 kills. Noz with 14. Garden Fungus performed very, very well across all of the maps, going 13 for 8 there. I just think individually you can point out maybe Andrew and Noz playing very well for Lucrosa. You can say that they performed across both maps. They got a lot of damage, they got a lot of kills, and hey, if you're doing damage and getting kills, and you're getting the right kills, then your team's probably going to do very well. But I just feel Lucrosa played very well as a unit, and if your team's playing well as a unit, then it's going to take another well-oiled machine to try and take you down. And inVision just came up a little bit short there. There were just some moments where tactically maybe they just weren't as well tuned as Lucrosa were. So it was a very, very good game. I'm sure somebody out there is feistily trying to combine all of the logs together. I'm pretty sure it was Andrew who top fragged across all of the games. But I mean, for you, if you had to select one player, Jake, who was the MVP for you?
Oh, it's difficult. I mean, definitely it will be someone from Lucrosa. I mean, they had everything going from them. We just saw a perfect Highlander coordination and personal skill combined with a clear strategy coming out of Lucrosa here. I mean, they did try hard the season very, very much, and it showed throughout their season, you know, barely losing any rounds to anyone. So, I mean, it definitely shows here. And if I was to give just one reward, I would still give it to two players, and those being obviously Nas and Andrew. Both of them doing what they're supposed to do. Nas basically just putting out damage, you know, just holding positions very well, knowing all the sticky traps, knowing all the positions he's supposed to spam, and Andrew obviously having that insane sniper aim, taking down players at the right time. Every single push for inVision was basically lacking one or two players just because the sniper was holding the sideline. And we do know, you know, the higher you get in divisions, the higher the importance of a sniper is. Having a very good sniper on your team is just such a huge boon to your team, to what you do, and you can basically build a strategy around the sniper to kind of always have this advantage of a few players at least more than the enemy team when they push. And this is basically what Lucrosa did. I mean, they had their strengths, they played up to them, they abused them as much as they could and didn't allow inVision to have any sort of response to what they had to offer. And in the end, it was just basically it. I mean, just gonna take a look at the logs. Are they combined already? Wiethoofd, just waiting for them.
I think somebody out there is going to combine them at a later date. But we are joined by three players here from the victorious team of Lucrosa. One of them is Kronk, the captain. One of them is Andrew, one of our selected MVPs, I guess, and the other is Skyro, he's just a filthy medic main. So I don't know why he's here. No one wants to.
Hey, what's your words, man? 3 medics main this mumble.
There's a lot of medics in this mumble. It's too many medics for one game. But congratulations, guys! Thank you for joining us. Well done for playing very, very well. I don't know who to pose a question to first. So I'm just going to go to Kronk. You are the team leader. Start the season, okay? If you can cast your mind back a couple of months. Start of the season, did you feel that you would be here at the end? Did you feel you were going to get to the grand final? Did you think, you know, winning it at the end was going to be the main goal?
Depends. Like 1 week before the season started, we didn't have a full roster. We were missing like 3 or 4 players. So the beginning, no. But when we actually found our players, like really fucking good players, it was like, yeah, we can go all the way. Let's do it.
That's good. I mean, it's you know, if you're struggling for players at the start of the season and then to win the grand final, I would say that's a successful campaign. Skyro, I mean, I've played against you I actually think my first ever ETF2L official was against you. You know, back in like season 17 of Sixes or something like that. I don't think I've ever seen you play. Yeah, and I don't think I've ever see you play medic. So you performed very well. I mean, your deaths. I think there was one game there on Steel where you didn't die, and on the other one you died like once on Borneo. How comfortable have you been this season playing medic, and how would you kind of rate your performance today?
It kind of varied a lot going from game to game. There were some games that the teams were better at pressuring me, and some games where they were worse. But I keep a lot of mechanical skill from the other classes that I've played, so I know what other classes can do, and I just live longer than other medics and high. Other than that, I don't really do anything special. I just have a lot of good players surrounding me that can keep me from getting killed. Mostly Guard and Fungus, and Kronk doing a great job buying me a lot of space. And that's most of the reason why I live so long.
I mean, you got to speak up for yourself, man. You got to say it's all because of me. You can't just start saying it's because of the other players. You know, medic mains out there, they need to hear you say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just the greatest. I'm the greatest." But
well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, CeeJaey, but I'm not actually a medic main.
Well, we'll make a medic main out of you next season. I mean, the roster's staying the same, I assume. But let's hear from Andrew as well, who you performed extremely well across all of the maps. I mean, you top fragged in every round except for the last one, I believe. I mean, you're obviously from NA, some weird kind of different region. But how did you rate kind of playing against the Europeans like on 120 ping?
I don't know. It's a different experience, if I'm being honest. It's like you're always at a disadvantage when, like, for example, the SVS, because the enemy sniper will always see you before you see him. But I don't know. I had fun. I really like using the Mach and the Razorback. I don't know why you guys have that allowed.
Because we don't like to ban weapons because we're scared of them. You know, it's just. I mean, it's exactly what Boar said to me this season as well. I mean, why do you guys allow the Mach, you know, and the Razorback? I mean, do you see yourself like? I'm going to assume, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and assume that Lucrosa is coming back to play in Prem next season now that you've guaranteed your place. How do you think you guys are going to rate against the big boys come season 14?
Well, we have a few players leaving for sure, so we might... Like, I think we're gonna make it. You can change a maximum of 4 players, so I think we're good in that way. But we're gonna have definitely a different roster next season. Yeah, so I have no idea how we're gonna do next season at all. We'll see what happens.
I'm all talked out, Jake. If there's anything you want to ask, now is the time.
Can I
it
give a shout
really
out?
is. Yeah, of course.
Okay, I want to shout out my boy John Watermelon.
There you go, John Watermelon.
I have a watermelon in the fridge, actually, so just reminded me. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, this is basically it from us. I think you just kind of like you exhausted the topic. I mean, we're excited to see Lucrosa play in the next season 14, I do believe, of Highlander in a few months at least, probably sooner. But that will be it from us, me being Jake on the camera, Wiethoofd, and obviously in the casting booth with me, CeeJaey. Obviously, stay tuned to CritzCast as we have moved here for good. More games coming up. This has been high season finals. Very exciting game to watch and cast, and just a pure pleasure to see all these players kind of duke it out, and one of the better games I've seen this season as well. But yeah, we're going to be casting more games Mondays evenings, pretty much a straight schedule. UGC season has just started. We just casted the last game on Monday, so definitely more will be coming up. Any last words, boys?
I wanna do some big shoutouts, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it.
Okay. Shout out to Twisted and Adje for merking today. Very good players. Shout out to Yxter for being 15. Shout out for Redwood for denying mercs. Shout out to Clark for removing all immigrants. Big Snoozer at I-61. Porky Middle Moist V-Clocks. And Ganek for getting cut. Thanks.
Some good shoutouts. All right. So that'll be it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for watching us on CritzCast. And, tune in on Monday for more UGC action as we are just picking up the season.